Canvas tents in downtown Yellowknife provide a safe space for people to connect, eat, and laugh. The Yellowknife Women's Society, in partnership with the Echoes of the Drum Recovery Center, set up the tents outside Spruce Bough Supported Living and the Yellowknife Women's Center. The tents are for everyone, but they are a sober space, and that's intentional. People who may be struggling with addiction can go to receive counseling throughout the week or just hang out and play crib or bingo. And on Fridays, there's a feast. We stopped by earlier to see the program in action. Okay, thanks for having us here today, Peter. Tell me what you are cooking right now.
We are just boiling up some caribou ribs, and we're making it into a soup. So we chopped up some celery, some carrots, a little bit of rice, some back eddies in there, and we just created a nice broth here with caribou soup, the caribou rib bones, and making some caribou soup. Next door here, Rainer has some moose meat that he's frying up, and we just finished eating a little bit of frozen Arctic char we had right before you guys showed up, and some bannock. And, we got a few things going on this week.
So we're in a wall tent right now. We're pretty close to downtown Yellowknife. Why is this tent here, and what does it provide for the community?
So we set this tent up a couple of months back with the hope of being able to gather some people from the community that are doing their best to get sober and stay sober. So we're trying to create a nice, healthy, safe environment for our community members to come down, and we provide a little bit of country meats and some food, and we always got fresh coffee on the go, and we're just trying to show our community members that it's a nice, safe place for people that are trying to stay sober, somewhere where they can come and join, feel welcome. We're always sitting around here laughing. It's a really good environment. So it's still fairly new, but each week that passes, we get more and more faces showing up, and we're probably going to have to get a couple more tents here pretty quick. It's a full house today, and there isn't a whole lot of room for us to move around, but everybody's warm and everybody's about to eat, and it's a nice, safe environment.
Yeah, having that kind of environment there is it's really important. I just need to point out a bit of the heckling because I actually quite love it. It shows the atmosphere of love that's around here, right? Everyone's joking around. I mean, tell me more about the environment this provides, right? Like, it can be really hard to find a safe space, and it's a bit of a traditional space as well, especially with these feasts that are going on Fridays. So what does this space mean to people who are trying to live a healthy lifestyle?
That's a good question. I would imagine this place would be a very, healing environment for a lot of people. A lot of people, I don't know their backstories or their life stories, but I'm sure a lot of people grew up in walled tents and spent a lot of time out in the land. Like myself, I was always out in the land growing up as a young kid, and I lost myself to addictions and alcoholism for many years, and I'm just past my 7.5 year mark here, and just being in these wall tents with this wood heat, you got a wood stove going, it's a really nice environment. So I would imagine it's a pretty nice place for people to just come and enjoy a Friday. Good way to end the week.
Yeah, it really is.
Weekend.
Yeah, and congratulations on 7.5 years. Something like that. That's a really incredible achievement.
August 6th was my 7th year.
Do you feel comfortable sharing a bit of your journey with that, or you don't have to? It's up to you. But
yeah, I grew up. I was born and raised here in Yellowknife. Both of my parents were extremely loving, caring parents, and I was never around addictions or alcoholism growing up. But I found myself in the heart of addictions as a young teenager. And a lot of that was just based on just the my friends that I grew up with and environment, and you get certain community members that when you're a young kid you look up to, and back in those days it's what everybody did. I was 25 years old before I realized what I was doing wasn't normal. I was a young kid doing drugs, drinking daily. I wouldn't go to work or school without a Mickey in my back pocket, and that was my story, and that's what was normal to me. And I was looking around. A lot of my good friends that I grew up with, they're no longer with us, and it's either death or, they're gone somewhere. They're not here with me now, and I knew that before long that would have been me. I would have been gone as well. So, it was time for me to turn my life around and make some changes, and I'm surrounded by support. You know, this community is a very supporting community. My family and friends, all my loved ones, you know, they're in my corner every step of the way. So it's a pretty long journey.
I mean, what would a space like this have meant to you when you were still in that journey?
You know, that's a good question, and I don't know. I don't know. I was so lost and I was so broken. You know, I was walking around town with a smile on my face every day. Not many people knew the severity to my addictions, and it was a lot worse than you'd ever imagine. You know, you look at me now, and I'm in here cooking some caribou meat, frying up some moose meat, and you know, 8 years ago, I was a completely different person. I was a pretty good functioning alcoholic, but deep down in my mind and my heart, I was, you know, I was a broken man. So maybe I would have looked right past this wall tent and straight to the liquor store. I have no idea.
Yeah, but now you're bringing others into this space and helping them on their journeys as well.
Yeah, no, that's it's a big deal in my life these days. You know, I do my best to try to help the next recovering alcoholic and addict, and I know what it feels like to suffer in silence. And you know, I know I said that in the past, and that's just a big thing that keeps me going throughout the days. Is that I had that support and I had that love, and you know, people were loving me until I could love myself. So, you know, I try to go about my day-to-day life just like that. You know, I try to help others until they're able to help themselves, and maybe they'll be able to carry on their life and help some more people. You know, from the small little actions I may show and the small bits of help that I'm handing out, maybe that'll get passed on, and other people may benefit from that. So,
Well, I just want to thank you so much for sharing that part of your story and that part of yourself. I think a lot of people will really resonate with it and appreciate it. And thank you for having us here.
yeah, Musty Joe, appreciate you guys showing up. Stick around, we got some caribou soup just about done here, so.